Morning, everyone, and welcome to this decision session. We just had a slight pause while we waited for the fire alarm testing to end. We didn't want to subject everyone who might be watching this online or watching it later to that. My name's Councillor Katie Lomas, and I'm the executive member for Finance, Performance, Major Projects, Human Rights, Equalities and Inclusion. So we're going to work through the agenda. I don't have any apologies for absence. The second item on this, and I have no interest that I need to declare for this meeting. The next item on the agenda is to approve and sign the minutes of the meeting held on the 19th of September, which I'm happy to approve and I will sign at the end. And then we move swiftly through to public participation. We've got a number of people who wish to speak at this decision session, and I'm delighted to welcome you all. It's great to have so many people here. So I'm just going to go through in the order that we've got. When it's your turn, I'll invite you to come up to the table. If you press the button that says mic on the microphone, please remember to do that so that people can hear, and you'll have 3 minutes. So we start with Nick Love. Welcome. So if you just press that little button that says mic and make sure it's green. Yeah, perfect. And you have 3 minutes.
So I'm Nick Love, I'm Public Protection Officer for York Camera. We made the application. There seems to be a misconception of what this meeting is about from the proposed, in inverted commas, purchases of the Victoria Vaults. It's not about a planning application for change of use, even though most of what they've said by opposing the ACV is designed to show why the Victoria Vaults should be changed into housing. This decision session is purely to consider whether the nominated property meets the criteria of being listed as an asset of community value, and the evidence is incontrovertible that it does. Based on the Localism Act 2011, the City of York Council definition is the current or main use of the building or land furthers the social interest or social well-being of the local community, or a use in the recent past has done so. So the core concept is the asset must provide a benefit to the local community, such as social, cultural or recreational value, and the Victoria Vaults has a long history of serving the community in this respect, providing cultural enjoyment through live music and enhancing the social well-being of musicians and those attending the gigs, as well as meeting up for social discourse. And also, as an ACV, there must be a possibility the asset can continue to serve the community's needs in the future. And how a place has been run or perceived to be run in the past is no indication of its potential in the future. There are numerous examples of places that have been underperforming, being taken over by a group or business that makes it successful. And I've been approached by several potential buyers with huge experience in the music industry that have stated that the venue hasn't been run to its full potential by making it a multifaceted facility capable of running from early morning to late night with a variety of different functions, events and uses each and every day. Precedents have been set elsewhere for this throughout the country. And these experienced music industry people said they wouldn't pay anywhere near the inflated asking price that was being asked by the sellers, which was squarely targeting developers rather than operators who could take the venue on and continue to run it as a community-focused venue. The asking price significantly lower when selling it as a licensed venue than when you sell it as a development opportunity. But that argument is for another day. As for when a planning application is submitted for change of use, which we assume it will be, the new owners may want to reflect that they will face a huge, well-coordinated public campaign for refusal. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I should have mentioned, when I'm typing, I am making notes of all the useful things that everyone is saying. I'm not doing anything else. I've gone digital, so I'm just making my notes. Thank you. Next we have Councillor Crawshaw. And I know you know the drill.
But that doesn't mean I won't go over my 3 minutes. I'll do my best. I'm here today speaking on behalf of the 3 Micklegate Ward councillors, but particularly myself and Councillor Kilbane, who have spent a number of years fighting to protect the city's music venues, and noting also that Councillor Kilbane is the exec member for Economy and Culture. I've had a look through the objections that have been put to this ACV being formalised, and would argue that it's highly misleading to suggest that there are 40 similar venues to Victoria Vaults in York. There's a clear distinction between a pub that has some live music and a music venue that sells beer. The Victoria Vaults has been the latter for a number of years, and to suggest otherwise is almost as ridiculous as saying that we don't need any more cinemas in York because loads of pubs have TVs. The reality in York is that we only have 2 dedicated music venues that are under a 200 capacity, only 1 that's under a 400 capacity, and nothing larger than that. It's vital that we have dedicated places for bands to be able to learn their craft, for musicians to experiment and develop, for people to be able to find their tribe, and those venues need to be a range of different sizes, and particularly important are venues that are small enough to try things out and to fail. That's a really important part of developing a cultural scene. We understand that the purchaser has suggested that they wouldn't have gone ahead if they knew it was going to become an ACV, and that there's been no interest in the venue to continue as a music venue. As has been said already, that's because it was marketed at a valuation based on the potential for development. I would caution that that's a completely unrealistic valuation, not least because of local plan policy D3, which is very clear. It says that development proposals will not be supported, or sorry, will only be supported where they do not cause the loss of cultural facilities, activities or services, and do not cause the loss of venues or spaces, including in the public realm, that deliver cultural opportunities, activities or services. So it is unlikely that this property will be granted residential change of use in the future. Therefore, it needs to be remarketed at a realistic valuation. I also have had a number of people approaching me saying that they're interested in purchasing this property if it was at a realistic valuation, with the express aim of continuing with it as a cultural facility, providing the live music venue that it currently is. Granting the ACV is part of protecting that as a cultural venue, but also part of protecting the wider York music scene. People often say, use it or you lose it. Actually, the reality is people were using this venue. It's now really important that we use the tools that we have as a council to protect this cultural institution before we lose it.
Thank you. And you managed not to go over time as well.
Yeah, well,
thanks very much.
Good practice.
No, unfortunately not. Next, next we've got David Leaper.
The Victoria Vaults is a most respected music and arts venue. So many years of York bands, rock, pop, reggae, punk, Britpop, folk, even line dancing. Unbelievable talent of the Mothers to Blondie's drummer Clem Burke, who brought his own band from the USA to play at the Vaults. Indie disco nights with Bez from the Happy Mondays and TV's Gogglebox fame. Popular local goth disco. Where else can an audience see a night of unrivaled nostalgia? York LGBT pride events, the York Viking Festival, Vikings in full regalia, drinking mead and singing Nordic folk songs. 50+ audiences reading poetry. Yes, poetry. This plus book launch readings, emerging talent nights, young bands getting real experience of stage work using a truly great PA system with the help of an experienced sound engineer. The annual Punk York gigs celebrating York bands, always a sold out get together of real friends, with all the proceeds from tickets, vinyl records and CD sales going to local charities and food banks. Yes, this all goes on at the Victoria Vaults, a community venue in York. Where are record companies going to find a new Shed 7 in York? The Sheds had early gigs in the Spotted Cow and Fibbers, both now closed. The new Fibbers on Tanner Row, again closed for housing redevelopment. It has weeds growing out of the door, no sign whatsoever of new properties being built. Yet again, local music fans being let down in favour of redevelopment. The Vaults also booked many recording artists who have all appeared on BBC's Top of the Pops, Clem Burke, Blondie, Bez, Happy Mondays, Ben Ottewell, Gomez, singer-songwriter, UK Subs, The Lurkers, 999, Tempo Tudor, The Chords, The Kilometres. The list goes on. A local pub does not even come near. These bands all expect a quality stage with a professional PA system. All these top acts had local bands to support them. I'm sorry, but this is surely a non-starter. 3 new build dwellings or a massive boost to keep York's oldest and most respected music venue alive. York needs this community spirit. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, we have Simon Micklethwaite.
Morning, my name is Simon Micklethwaite. In the mid-2000s, I used to run a venue underneath the city screen called The Basement, which I believe still exists in some part-time capacity as a venue for theatre, comedy, etc. I'm also currently in a band, a local band called Soma Crew. So coming from 2 different perspectives, current and past, that relate to what we're talking about today. Back in the day when I was running The Basement, I believe there was just The Basement Amphibians, and then there was The Junction, and there was Stereo, and all of these venues, for one reason or another, have either become properties or they've come to disuse and gone back to what they did before. Also the 2 Fibbers, there was the Duchess underneath the Fibbers, there was the new Fibbers that we've just been spoken about. All these venues central to York, valuable parts of the local music community, and bringing international and national bands to York to provide inspiration and entertainment for local people. So to lose another venue that is central to York, which are very few, everybody knows that, you know, as time goes on, central areas tend to get occupied by things other than things of cultural value, and they get pushed further and further out. And this is consistent with the troubles that the Music Venue Trust faces with trying to regenerate music venues nationally as well. If the Vaults does remain open, which I hope it does, as a venue in some capacity, full-time, it will provide a future for people, not just in the next 5 years, but, you know, 10, 15 years hence, with people who are growing up playing music in York, looking to develop their talent, looking for an audience, looking to entertain their friends and local residents, but also to achieve things themselves in the capacity as engineers, as promoters. There are so many other things that tie in with the music, like music performance, that add to the potential possibility for different people to find careers and ways forward to develop their craft. I know several young promoters who I'm sure would, thank you. I know several young promoters in their early 20s who would jump at the opportunity to find the trust in a venue that is well run, to look forward and find a way to build on the potential of this asset of community value. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Welcome. I'm hoping that one of you is Nabil Hanif. Wonderful, because you're next. So this is we've just got to public participation, and people who have registered to speak have 3 minutes. So if you'd like to come up. Just take a seat there and just press the microphone button in the middle. And then, that's it. And then you have 3 minutes.
Right, perfect. We've just completed on this property, just literally got keys today. Now, from what we knew, we were told it was a failing business and the guy was losing lots of money, so he wanted to leave. We weren't interested in taking on something that was running well. We tend to buy derelict properties. So for us, this was like, we are doing something to bring it back into use. Again, we don't run pubs. That's not our area of business. We're here to sort of redevelop it into housing. That has been our sort of idea from the start. And basically, this has been marketed for like a year now. And as far as we're concerned, if somebody else did want to come forward, they absolutely have the chance to. Because an asset community value essentially includes time for the community to purchase property. And we think, well, it's been a very long time. We were the only people that came forward in the end to buy the property, from what we know. And essentially, we feel like we've been ambushed with this last minute because we were already under contract to buy when we found out it was this application going forward. Pretty much that is all I really have to say.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The next person to speak will be John Parkinson. That's it.
My son's record business financed the first structural changes, soundproofing and PA system at the Victoria Vaults. Thus it transitioned from pub to specialist music venue. It is one of a handful in York, and given that the Crescent and the Fulford Arms, with their focused music savvy management, has succeeded and now attract better known acts, the Vault is rather unique as a refuge for local talent to hone their skills. The Vaults is not one of dozens of identical pubs as asserted by lawyers. To argue this suggests a lack of due diligence on their part, and to assert that City of York Council should compensate them is perverse. A professional negligence claim seems more appropriate. Exclusively referencing the current operator, they also assert that the venue is a financial basket case let down by local people who failed a procession of past operators. In reality, local people were let down by the last two operators who started as friends and partners, but soon became squabbling adversaries who still bicker to this day. Both did not understand contemporary music and how to profitably promote events. Both alienated different musicians and the paying public to varying degrees. The place comfortably broke even prior to their arrival. In 2020, I helped the Vaults apply for and receive a 90,000 plus COVID grant. The grant distracted effort from running the business. One party took it as a ticket to party and not work. The other party was beguiled by the bank balance. Insulated from their inadequacies, music played second fiddle, as did the fabric of the place. The tortured paper trail of legal documents as the parties fought to separate legal responsibility from actual control of the place should really have put the purchaser on inquiry rather than blindly re-quoting opinion as fact. The truth is the last two operators failed, not the venue. Success at the Fulford Arms and the Crescent refute the basket case theory and reinforce the potential value of the Vaults to the community as a rare resource and a potentially successful one in the right hands. The reference in the case notes to ACV applicants not supporting a bid to buy the freehold is irrelevant. It's also disingenuous. The sales process was secretive and it was certainly not published to local interested parties. Willing buyers of a music venue exist. I met one yesterday. Some known to the vendors, in point of fact. Certain parties, myself included, did offer money to take over the running of the place from the current operator, who expressed his wish to depart. A price had been provisionally agreed, only for it to be doubled at the signing meeting. Since 2019, management has been erratic, immature, short-sighted and opportunistic. It's a testament to the place that it's survived such neglect for so long, and an indication that with care it will be a minor jewel in York's cultural crown, not just three drab holiday lets. Thank you.
Thank you. And our last public speaker, Bob Jackson.
Time this at 2:58, so let's go.
Brilliant.
Having been an integral part of raising tens of thousands of pounds for charity appeals for my own brother, I'm as much aware as anybody could be of the importance of community and how much of a positive effect it can have on everybody concerned. The York Vaults community venue must be worth keeping. The 200,000 plus York residents deserve nothing less. It can be said that there are over 40 venues in York. A couple of people standing in the corner singing doesn't turn a pub into a venue. Music venues are a melting pot for up-and-coming bands who need to hone their skills and chase dreams of turning their talents into a career. They are also a cultural hub for young, enterprising people. Many of them will move on to do great things in other areas, such as Nev Astley of Peppa Pig fame, who personally backed 3 charity punk rock events at the York Vaults himself, raising thousands of pounds for cancer charity. The live music community is an essential means of socialising for many. It's a living entity that creates safe places, spaces, promoting good mental health throughout the community that supports fans as well as its artists. It could, however, be suggested that the York Vaults wasn't able to make money, but this is ludicrous once you scratch the surface. The only way that a community hub and free house like this can fail is by the way it was run. There's no doubt that it was run very badly, from the stinking, unclean and frankly embarrassing state of the toilets to understaffing the bar at events that were full, but then of course cancelling the wrong gigs at very short notice. Also, the criminally stupid idea of putting a pool table in the middle of the dance floor and introducing karaoke nights, things that would alienate any true music fan. It wasn't easy having to watch the place get gradually worse to the point where most of the regulars of all ages stopped going in, many of whom had made it their community hub for decades. It was a wonderful sight to see people in their 70s and 80s dancing to Rage Against the Machine. Watching from the outside, it all seemed a bit too convenient, how the Vaults was run down and then closed without any fuss, with not the slightest attempt to keep the place open. It certainly felt that there had been a deal done. I asked this very question to the leaseholder's wife, who replied, yes, oops, I'm not supposed to say that. To sum up, does this city really need any more of its cultural heritage levelling to outside developers to bring even more residential houses and flats? I and many others are now saying enough is enough. To conclude, I'm certain that run professionally and by the right people, the York Vaults community venue could once again be the envy of many towns and cities in the north and beyond. That would also result in the rapid return of its loyal and proud regulars and turn it into a community hub for residents of our beautiful city. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm very grateful for everyone who's made the effort to come in and speak today. I also have read all of the submissions that were sent in writing, which have been published, and there are also 2 additional written submissions that have been sent in, and they will be published with the minutes of this meeting, and I have read those too. So I just wanted to make sure I noted that. So with that, we're going to move on to the main item of business, which is item 5, applications for community right to bid under the Localism Act, and the applications to list properties as assets of community value. So I'm going to hand over to Nick to present these 2, and I think we'll do them in turn. So if you present A and I'll make a decision, and then present B and I'll make a decision, I think that'll be quicker. Thanks.
Right, good morning everyone. Well, the report sets out 2 proposals to list property as an asset of community value. So as Councillor Lomas has mentioned, we'll deal with each in turn. I'm going to start off with New Earswick Swimming Pool. So this one was previously listed as an ACV back in 2018. The Friends of New Earswick Swimming Pool have made the application, and they are considered what's known as an eligible body under the definition under the Localism Act. No objections have been received. The pool, built in 1967, is widely used by the community, and it's therefore recommended to be relisted as an ACV.
Thank you very much, Nick. I have read the report and I've read the application carefully, and I'm very happy to relist New Earswick swimming pool. So we'll now go to item B, which I know everyone is far more interested in the room.
Indeed, Victoria Vaults, Public House Nunnery Lane. So this one's been nominated by CAMRA, whom are indeed an eligible body under the definition of the regulations, as per the last one. We've received 2 objections, as you're aware. I've heard that the prospective owner is now the owner. And I draw your attention in particular to paragraphs 10A and B of the report, which sets out the definition of what is a sort of land of community value. And it states under section 88, subsection 1, in that definition, that an actual current non-ancillary use of the building or other land furthers the well-being of social interests of the community. And so basically, it does indeed accord with that. I think it's worth pointing out the pub's actually been situated, if I'm correct, in this location for around about 160 years. So it is not a recent addition to York. It has been here for absolutely ages. It serves the local community, which has a considerable resident population literally on its doorstep. As has been outlined eloquently by the speakers today, the property has also been a popular music venue, providing live gigs and opportunity for musicians in the city, providing that community emphasis as defined under the Act. Now, there's significant precedent for pubs to be nominated as ACVs nationally, and in York, we actually have 13 listed already. There's also precedent for music venues to be listed. And I noticed actually that the Electric over in Brixton was nominated as an ACV only this year by Lambeth Council. So on the basis of this precedent, and as we've heard today from the community emphasis that this plays, the recommendation is for it to be listed.
Thanks very much, Nick. And having read all of the written submissions and heard from everyone who's spoken today, I make a few notes in making my decision. I note that this is a music venue that sells beer, not a pub that happens to host music events sometimes. Thank you, Councillor Crawshaw, for that. That's really helpful in thinking. I note that although I've heard from a lot of different people, I've also heard about a lot of different type of events that happen at this venue, events that don't necessarily have another space to be held in. So not just music, but also poetry, book launches, about the need for a venue which is a music venue that sells beer as opposed to a pub that hosts music, to provide a future for people to develop talent and skills, not just as performers, but also all of the other things that go into putting on a performance. I note from the purchasers of the property that they feel ambushed by this. However, I'm certain that they would have had advice about potential planning issues, and they would have been told, as Councillor Crawshaw informed us today, that the local planning policy D3 protects cultural assets, and would inevitably protect this asset from an application to change of use to residential. And so I'm sorry that the purchasers feel ambushed by this, but I think they would face other challenges in having this property and trying to use it for something that was not its current use. And based on all of the information, the research that Nick has done, and the precedent that has been set, I'm very happy to list this as an asset of community value. And thank you all for your interest, and thank you all for all of the work that you have done to bring this forward. And there being no urgent business, that concludes this meeting. Thank you.